expensive camera is to film me, and the cheap cameras are to film you.
Thank you so much.
But it's okay. It's not a quality thing. The cheap ones are just as good as the expensive ones. And the reason that we're filming me is because in about 3 weeks' time, I go to my daughter's primary school. Her name is Mia Sophie. She's a princess, and she has a brother who's a terrorist. But I go to the princess's school, and I spend 3 hours doing presentation techniques for a group of 9-year-olds in the morning. So in order to pre-train them, I'm going to send the films over the internet to their parents so that they can get prepared. Yeah? And so this offer also extends to you and your current children or future children. If you don't have any yet, then one day you'll have some, and you can send them this film as well to get them learning presentation skills at an early age. Yeah? Which I think is very important, because presentation skills in gut Deutsch gesagt ist eine motorische Fähigkeit. Yeah? It's a motoric skill. It's got to do with the muscles and the body, which means the sooner you start learning it, the better you become later. Did you do presentation skills at school? No. Did you do it at college? No. Did anybody have anything like that at university?
No.
Probably not. It is changing, in some areas slower than others, but I figure to get it to them earlier is probably a good thing to do. So, welcome everybody. My name is Tim. I'll tell you a bit about myself in a minute. At the back on the camera we have Anne. Anne is going to be running the camera, and she will tell you what to do when the time comes for you to do it. We're going to be filming you doing a lot of small presentations over the next couple of days, and for a couple of those films we'll ask you to watch them straight away, and Anne will take charge of that process. At the end of the whole 2 days you will receive your films, and we'll put them onto your laptops for you, and then you take them away, and there's a process whereby you need to watch them over the next 2 to 3 weeks or so. I keep a copy, and then I load them up to a server in about 15 years' time, and I send you an email with a bank account number, and then that's the next part of the process. But apart from that, nobody sees the films. They are for you and your purposes only within this learning process. Okay? So, my name's Tim. I come from England. This is England. Yeah? I have disregarded a couple of the more dangerous areas of the island, namely Scotland, Wales and Ireland. We leave those on there. They exist, but we prefer to ignore them because they're dangerous up there in those parts of the country. I'm English from Eastbourne. Has anybody ever heard of Eastbourne? Brighton? Yeah. Brighton is called Little London by the Sea. Yeah? And Eastbourne is next to it. Brighton is famous, Eastbourne is not famous. But it is famous for a couple of reasons. Any tennis fans? No. No? Okay, the women's qualifying Wimbledon things take place in Eastbourne. Three main things about Eastbourne. One of them is the amount of old ladies that we have in the town. Eastbourne is famous for the high quantity of old women. Yeah? So proportionally, we have more old women than any other town in England. So approximately 65% of the population is over the age of 60, and most of them are ladies. Why do you think this is? What happens to the guys? No? The guys are normally dead by that time. Gentlemen die earlier. And so the ladies are left over, and when they die, they're looking at their husbands and they say, yes, let's retire to Eastbourne. And why do you think they go to Eastbourne? Because of the sunshine. Yeah, Eastbourne has got more sunshine than any other town in England. So they have approximately 4 days of sunshine per year, and because of this high quantity of sunshine, yeah, that's where they end up. Eastbourne's also famous for this cliff. We have a couple of... Does anybody remember the rock and roll band The Who?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you know...
I like them.
Yeah, they're a great band. Do you know the film, Quadrophenia? Did you see it?
Yeah.
And do you remember the final scene?
No, it's a long time ago.
The final scene, the motorbike or the Vespa, yeah? And the Vespa drives off the cliff.
Right, yeah.
And you see the bike, that's my cliff. That's Eastbourne. Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So Eastbourne is, has the highest, one of the highest cliffs in England, and it is the second most popular place on the planet to kill yourself by jumping off a high object. Yeah? So that's my town. Anybody know the first most popular place? No? No? Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco? Yeah, number one. They have 5 people per week. We have approximately 1 person per week. And we have high season and low season. So we have a lot of area for improvement, but yeah, at the moment we're doing pretty good. So when I was 18, I left Eastbourne because it's a perfect place to leave. And I started traveling through Europe doing my first job, and the only job for which I have a piece of paper. I'm a cook, a qualified English cook. Yeah? Do you know what an oxymoron is? No, an oxymoron is a 2-part statement. The one is the negative of the other, like English cooking, yeah? Or military intelligence, or Austrian football, yeah? Or German coffee.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad.
And so I was cooking through Europe, and I had a job in a restaurant in Zurich. And my sous chef, a gentleman called Jean-Claude, came up to me and he said, "Tim, you are English, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, Jean-Claude. How did you guess? Is it because of my very easy to understand English accent?" And he said, "No, you cannot cook." And so with this feedback, I decided to become a management consultant, and everything has worked a lot better since that time. Great. So that's a bit about me. I live in Vienna. I've got 2 kids, 1 wife, etc. And I do a lot of work for various different industries, a lot for the IT industry, so IBM, Lenovo, Dell, Sun, HP, organizations like that, and a lot of small IT organizations. And in the IT world, I normally do sales training, solution sales for IT. I also do a lot of work in the pharmaceutical sector, and in the pharmaceutical sector for Eli Lilly, Novartis, Amgen, GE Healthcare, I do leadership training and for leadership teams, and the majority of work that I do or used to do was speaker training for doctors at conventions. So big conventions, big speaker training and presentation skills engagements for doctors who were being funded to go to these conventions by the pharmaceutical companies. Another large area is FMCG, or rather the more industrial sector for me, which is Henkel, which is Deutsche Post, which is BASF, and I do a whole bunch of stuff from leadership, emotional intelligence, and key account management for Henkel. And so at the moment I'm working a lot in Germany. Yeah? For the past 2 or 3 years, the Germans have been my main target group and audience group, which has both advantages and disadvantages. In the past, I used to work a lot in Central and Eastern Europe. In fact, most of my life has been spent in the developing markets of CEE, and a lot in North Africa and the Middle East and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So basically, I'm a professional teacher and trainer. And my job is to make people practice a certain number of skills and send them away with a good feeling that they know how to do those skills, and then to continue doing them in the future. Okay? Any questions? Great. So let's move into the program. Almost a lifetime ago, I was working with Pepsi. And Pepsi had a slogan at that time, which was this: "You are only as good as your last presentation." Sounds pretty miserable. And it is pretty miserable, but there is an interesting level of truth behind this statement. very marketing-driven company. A lot of internal presentations and a lot of focus put on your abilities within those presentations. What percentage of your time do you spend doing presentations? 1% maybe? Yeah, 0.5%? Yeah, it's a very much exclusive and minority thing that you do within an organization. The majority of your time is spent working and then occasionally you have to stand up and speak about what you've been working on. The problem is we get assessed on that 0.5% or 1% over proportionally. So the assessment that goes into that small microcosm of time is way over proportional to what it should be. Nobody cares about what we do the rest of the time. Yeah, well, they do, of course, but this principle that first impressions count and what you see is what you get is a very important one. So being prepared to do a good presentation is a critical business skill, even if it is only for those small times and spaces within the working environment. However, we also have a couple of different presentation scenarios that we focus on. This presentation scenario focuses on the main area that we'll practice over these couple of days, which is the stand-up formal presentation. U-shape, 5 to 50 people, 100 people, 300 people. This is the formal presentation. The tie, the jacket, the beamer, the laptop, the slides, the audience, the screen. Yeah? This is a working presentation, a block table, a projector, a screen, where you're sitting on the side and you've got a screen and you've got a bunch of people there, but it's more of a workshop type approach and a workshop type presentation. A very high proportion of presentations and meetings are run in this way. It's actually not the best way at all, but it is one that is increasing in popularity. We'll explore why I say that later. And this is probably the most common type of presentation that is being run at the moment, and this is the tabletop presentation, which is a small meeting for 1, 2, 3, or normally a maximum of 4 people, where you don't need the screen, you don't need the projector, you use your laptop and or paper to run the presentation, and you've got a bunch of people sitting around a table. Yeah? The definition of presentation is I am presenting something which is visual, and so that comes into all of these 3 cases. Yeah? So we're going to focus on all of these. Our practice will be here. I will make sure you leave knowing the principles for this as well, so that at least you can make sure that your next meetings, if they're supported by slides, can work effectively too. Okay? So, situation. Presentations, the number of presentations is on the increase. Yeah? Mondi, as a global organization, has quite a culture of doing presentations. Whether that's good or bad remains to be seen. But there are a lot of presentations within this environment. Yeah? The time for preparation generally decreases. Yeah? This is the normal dilemma that presentation environments have. Consequences of this is the old nervousness. Everybody feels nervous when they're about to do a presentation. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't feel the nerves bubbling away inside of them. These nerves are about the possibility of failure, yeah? And the possibility of a bad quality presentation, which means a bad quality idea going into it. So bad presentations being a result of this situation is obviously not what we want, because this affects the quality of projects, which means the quality of people and everything related to it. Yeah? So what we're looking for then as objectives and overriding skills are techniques to counterbalance these nerves, are skills to make sure that we're not going to fail in the basic elements of running a presentation, and these things need practice in order to make them work. Presentation skills, above all other soft skills training, is a matter of practice. And within a couple of days, you can actually get the practice that you need in to give yourself the quantity of practice that you need to actually see yourself doing it quite well. Yeah, it's actually the only seminar where that is possible. And for this reason, we have the cameras so that you can see yourselves on screen as well doing it. And because, you know, otherwise we don't have any nerves, right? So that's an important part of it. These are the results, though. Confidence in a number of different ways. The first basic level of confidence: where do I stand? Where should I be? Related to the audience, to the projector, to the screen, within the room. You know, what's my position? What's my place within that presentation? What's expected of me? Yeah, all of these questions are answered, which supply a level of confidence which is very important for the presenter. Routine. We'll give you the routine over the next couple of days to make sure that the main essential skills are consolidated. Body, voice and mind. The mind is maybe something a little bit big for us to tackle within a couple of days, but certainly body language, voice, doing the right thing at the right time is something that we can address. Yeah? We can use these then in presentations, certainly, and more importantly for me, we use them in meetings because company culture is defined by meeting culture, and so many companies have bad meeting cultures. Yeah? And so my personal mission in life is to improve meetings in organizations. Yeah? Some people have good missions in life. Mine is unfortunately improving meetings in company. When I die and go to heaven, God will say, "What did you do?" I tried to improve meetings in company. He said, "Go to hell." Well, no, he won't. He'll say, "Did you succeed?" I say, "With a couple of people, potentially." Yeah. Professionalism, yeah, is the key takeaway, and to make sure that all presentations are handled and dealt with in a professional manner. Okay, so later on you can have a look at what we've got planned for tomorrow. For today, what we're going to do is the following: intro and objectives, and then we're going to look at some feedback criteria for the first presentation, and then we will go into our first presentations. I've asked you to prepare a couple of slides. So we'll choose you in a random order to come up and set up your laptops and to do that presentation. That's a short presentation taking about 4 minutes per person. And then we'll stop and you can watch that film. This is the status quo presentation. So this shows the situation, how it is at the moment. Yeah? Then we'll look at the techniques and we'll start practicing the techniques that give us the routine and practice necessary for dealing with body language, media handling, and then we'll move into a more theoretical or conceptual piece, which is the audience and thinking about what the audience needs and what their rights are. And then we'll look at the tips and tricks on dealing with slides. Actually, you have a corporate outline, which is okay. It fits the rules, it fits the guidelines, and it can be used without too many worries of not fulfilling the audience's needs of what they need from visual input. So that's pretty good. Then we will have our second presentation. So I'll give you some time to incorporate these changes into your presentations, and then we can look at the new improved version of presentation 1. So the presentation that you do here, you will also do here, so that on your films you can see the before and after effect. You know, in the magazines sometimes you see 2 photographs, before, after. Yeah, that's the effect that we will guarantee to you today. You will see a difference. Yeah. Okay, and then to begin concluding the day, we will go into an extended practice exercise, and we may actually switch the order of these when we get there, but we will look at the topics of charts and graphs, how to present charts, graphs and statistics, how to deal with difficult people, how to address the unspoken questions, and again, the PC Tips presentation will do some practice on those topics. Okay? So as you look around the room, there's a whole bunch of flip charts and ideas and models and concepts which are illustrated there. You will be presenting your presentations. You will also be presenting my presentations. I'll do them for you once, and then you need to repeat them for the process and for the purpose of presenting other people's material, which is one of the most common dilemmas that a corporate presenter has. They have to present something that doesn't originally belong to them, and so the skills are there for that as well. Okay? So that's the plan. Any questions?
Tough program.
It's really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me. Okay. Good. Okay, on the question of language, I don't have a problem if you do your presentations in German. If you wish to do so, and that is your normal presentation language, that is absolutely fine by me. If you say to yourself, Tim, all of my presentations are in German, I never have to present in English, then why should we torture ourselves by doing it in a different language as well? So if you want to do it in German, nie problema, yeah? Go for it. Do it in German. There are other flip charts, you know, there are my flip charts which are written in English. You're probably going to find it easier to present those in English when the time comes. So you'll get some practice in presenting in English as well. For me, the language isn't important. It's the technique that is important, and walking away with the skills is much more important than the language itself. So up to you. Yeah, whatever you prefer. Okay, feedback. On the tables there are these little slips of paper. For the first presentation, and the first one only, we will be using these for yourselves to give each other a little bit of feedback about each other's presentation skills. So if the first presenter is Ben, then you write Ben at the top of the piece of paper, and there is a couple of little space for comments there, and you write whatever you like. Make sure it's legible so that it can be read afterwards.
One question. What does conviction mean?
Okay, so clarity, yeah? Clarity is Klarheit. So is the understanding of what was said, yeah? And that means logic and structure. And that means, so the conceptual understanding of what the presentation was about. Yeah? Conviction means how much do we feel that the person believed in their subject. So, Glaubwürdigkeit. No, it's not is it Überzeugungs... Ich bin selber überzeugt. Yeah, conviction is not Überzeugungskraft. That is the power to persuade somebody. Conviction is bin ich überhaupt selber überzeugt?
Ah, okay.
Yeah, this is Selbstüberzeugung. Doesn't exist in German, does it? It's a joke. they get worse. It's okay. At least you don't have to listen to Anne's sense of humour. That's. Okay, and the final one is connect. The connection between the presenter and the audience. Okay, so we'll work in a which system should we use? The Schulnotensystem, 1 is good, 5 is bad? Yeah? Terrific. So just circle them in. Afterwards, you put them at the front of the table, and then during the break, we'll collect them in, divide them, and then you can all have a look at your results. So this is a kind of 360 feedback process where you get a general impression of what other people think about your presentation skills as well. Okay? So make sure the notes that you write on it are very clear and legible, and everybody can read them. Okay? Any questions? Good. So, in that case, we're going to go into the first presentations. So the first presentation will be 4 minutes long. We'll film it and we'll give you a timing signal. When I do this, or when Anne does this, it is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah? And when we start doing this, it is time to close it off.